yeah, 6:30 India time, then we'll be able to share the screen.
You should be able to share now too, though. Sarvani, I just changed it for you to be a presenter, so it should let you see your screen now.
Okay, when ready, show my screen, and I have the downward arrow.
And Sachin, even if you can't get the background to work, the background that you have is totally fine. It looks good.
Yeah, that's because I'm trying to adjust the background, because right now I'm in half office and half gym, as you can see on the other side. So I'm like carefully seated right at the center. Yeah.
Strategically place it so that you can't see.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you see anything right now?
Sachin, I checked on the background thing, and I think you can do that, but you'll need to download Chroma Cam or something like that. So it says you need to log into your account at global.goToMeeting, go to webinar, and then click on settings icon. Yeah, and then download it.
Yeah, maybe next time, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to try and. Thank you for looking that up, Malay.
Hey, Ali, how are you?
Currently, only staff can participate. All right, that's nice. Even if people join in, they cannot hear us. Only the staff can hear each other, no?
Correct.
Click. Yes. Okay, that's cool.
I have shared my screen. Can you see that?
Yes, Sarvani, yes.
But we see the version like what you should see, not just the PowerPoint. We can see like what slide's coming next and advance and all of that.
Oh shit, then it's not the right one. God.
Jumping from different platform to platform is so like between different meetings and trying to figure out how to share properly and do your camera properly is one of the biggest challenges in this whole virtual world that we live in right now.
True, absolutely true. But I think this GoToWebinar works very well with the webinar specifically, because in Teams one can see each other and can turn on camera at any point of time and things like that. But on GoToWebinar, a lot of controls are with the organizer, and one can shoot the polls and questions. Yeah, it's nice.
Now what can you see right now?
It's
yeah, certainly we are seeing it good. Can you go to next slide, maybe just to reconfirm?
Yeah, I'll go to the next slide. Then the housekeeping.
Yes, we can see it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Oof, thank God.
Then Sachin, are you doing the introduction or Malay or Ishu? I don't know where we landed on who's introducing.
Yeah, so me and Sarvani, we had a dry run yesterday, and I can open the webinar introducing the topic and Sarvani also, and then we'll jump to the slides which Sarvani going to share for the topic. And later on, there are some involvements which I have to play in between, along with taking care of the questions. So yes, it will be a nice interactive webinar, I think. So I'll open the webinar.
Okay, great. And then are you going to cover the like, here's where you can, that slide that talks about here's where you can find the handouts and the PowerPoint? Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
So Ali, it's just that Sachin told me to put this first, and then this is the housekeeping slide that you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and
because once I introduce the topic, then I can introduce you, and then lastly I can convey some options to the audience, and then we can go to the session. So it will be a flow. Yeah.
That works for us. Let me pull up so we covered the intro, we can see the slides, so that's good. I'm just running through my checklist of the pre-webinar final details. We have 300 people registered, so that's really good. I'm excited about that. And I think I see the polling question's been added.
It's a nice question.
Is there one? Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you, Ishu, for putting that in there. I'm guessing it was you.
Yep.
All right, let me.
I have a question. How many of you did know about Fitbit acquisition? It seems Sachin knew about it. I didn't. I was like surprised. When did Alphabet acquire Fitbit? But it did.
No, Sabri, actually the acquisition completed like 5 days ago, but Google announced it a couple of years back, I think, when they were very new to this domain. And once the Google acquired Fitbit, they started designing that Wear OS, the Android, the operating system for the watches itself. So the acquisition completed formally yesterday, but it was announced way back, I think 2 years back. Yeah.
Yeah, so we see it now in patent side, because even last time when I did this, when I started working on this that topic, I didn't see at that point of time Fitbit is a part of Alphabet, but I was like, what's magic?
Okay.
I had no idea until I saw your slide. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Not that
exactly.
Yeah.
not that I
I
see up
expect
all the
some of
latest.
this watch today from people as well. Let's see. I hope it is.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that. But I mean, it's not that I follow mergers and acquisitions on a regular basis anyway, other than, you know, the really big ones that make the news. But
yeah. So guys, I'm seeing like there are 5 or 6 organizers in the staff. So even if somebody has to leave the webinar, please don't cancel anything. Just keep your laptop like that, and you can just leave from your station if it is required. But do not cancel out anything. Otherwise, it will cancel the webinar for everyone, because we are the organizers. So if somebody has to leave from their desks until the webinar is finished, don't do anything on the webinar.
yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna see if I can change to panelist, but it's not. So you can always promote people from whatever level they are to, but it doesn't look like I can demote anyone.
Yeah. No, once anyone is organizer, you cannot change the controls.
Yeah. So thank you for pointing that out, Sachin.
Yeah, thanks, Ali.
Sachin is a pro.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I did couple of this on GoToWebinar, but it's been really long.
Yeah, I'll not click on anything. Someone else, please cancel it. I'm always in a fear that I'll do something wrong. God.
You just focus on your slides and presenting, and we'll focus on all the behind the scenes stuff for you.
Thank you.
And then, Sachin, I know you're going to be watching the questions. I'll keep an eye on them as well for any kind of technical type questions, or where can I find the slides, or when will we get the email or the recording, and I'll go ahead and take care of answering any of those types of questions. Then
Yes.
the topical
I will take care of the questions, both technical and non-technical. But when I'm interacting with Serbani, and if there's any urgent question which I may skip, then Malay, may I request your attention on the questions, please? If something important comes up once I'm in the webinar. But I'll take care, like go to and fro, because I won't be sharing my screen. It's easy for me to take a look at the questions also. But just in case.
No problem for me to help take care of those types. I don't mind at all, and that's usually what I do during all the webinars anyway. So it's no problem.
Okay. Just in case you never used GoToWebinar, like once somebody asks a question, and if you type in the question, it will always ask you whether you want this reply to be seen by that particular person or the whole audience. So you can also be careful once you,
I hate when they ask, like when they're like, I can't hear, or technical difficulties to everybody, and it's really just them that's having the issue. And I'd rather them just ask it privately, but yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Well, GoToWebinar is good because sometimes people kind of put in very nasty comments, and it's good that not everyone can see it, because I remember there was one webinar we were doing for Total Patent 1. It was on searchability, etc. And the guy said, "You're just blatantly promoting your platform."
That was on Teams, Malay.
Yeah. Oh, that was on Teams, right? Yeah. Sorry. So thankfully, here nobody can see that kind of thing, and we are just kind of free from that kind of noise coming in.
Yeah, that is a good point. We used to use WebEx for all of our like client and prospect facing webinars, and we had problem after problem. You couldn't mute everybody. You had to like rely on them to mute themselves, and it was anybody could come off mute anytime they wanted. So there was like a full on domestic dispute in the middle of one of our webinars one time where it sounded like a husband and a wife getting in a fight in a foreign language. And I was like, there was nothing we could do to mute them, so everybody just heard it. It was terrible.
That's in LexisNexis, Ellie?
Yes, yeah, it's probably been 4 or 5 years.
Do you have the recordings for that webinar? No?
We don't have
just
that.
kidding. No, just kidding. Yeah.
With all the WebEx stuff, but yeah, that was when we were looking at new webinar providers. That was one of the main criteria for me, was like, we can mute anybody at any time, right? And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
True. Absolutely true.
Actually, Zoom is also good if you look at it from the perspective of organizing meeting there. I think GoToWebinar is the best out of all of them. So, like, as far as I think.
Right. I'm really happy with GoToWebinar. There's another one called On24, and it's even better, but it's really, really expensive. We're talking like $100,000 for a subscription for the year, which is way out of our budget. I think for GoToWebinar, we pay $3,000 for the year. So
it's good that we don't have it, right? Or the sales folks will have some additional pressure to close every because you're using such an expensive delivery platform. So
yeah, we have to be able to pay for the platform. So Malay and Sachin, you have to close every single person who attends every webinar. Okay.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a whole new level of pressure on sales and on marketing to deliver for that.
Right now, considering the business sentiments that are running in India, we are already in pressure cooker. So yes, don't want to get any extra pressure from the outside. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so let's see. We have a few more minutes. If anybody wants to go, like, run to the bathroom real quick, grab a drink, anything like that before we get started, you have a few minutes to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We'll ideally start like I'll make an announcement at the 6:30 Indian time exactly. What I've observed is that a lot of people still take 2-3 minutes at the starting point before entering the GoToWebinar. So we might take 2 more minutes on top of when the webinar starts to actually begin our session. But I'll make an announcement at the right time that we're going to take 2 more minutes.
Okay. I think that sounds good.
Sachin, you're going to turn on your webcam, right?
Yeah, I was just drinking some. Sabani, you look nervous. Why are you nervous? You're so good with the webinars. I've attended a lot of your webinars and sessions.
Before it starts, I'm super nervous. Once I'm in there, then I'm in my elements. But before that, I'm super nervous.
So in last 6 years, I think I've attended a lot of webinars, but if I need to rank the presenter, I think you will be on the top, the way you present and the quality of the data that is there in the sheets. Yeah.
I presented in one of the conferences last week. It was a SkyTech conference. It's the same thing that we presented. My voice was dubbed because it was in Taiwan Healthcare Expo. So I presented this time, and they sent me, "Can you send a photograph of yours?" I was like, "Why?" Because they said that they are hearing more and more your videos, and you haven't featured yourself in the video, so you want to put in your picture. I was like, "Really? That's
right.
Fine."
I think it's more engaging with the audience, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. Probably it is, and especially, and the thing is, I also need to curb down my excitement because some of the news that is in the slides, they're so cool actually, and especially when I reach to, and Alia, I promise I'll control my excitement regarding the R2.
I love it, Sarbani. I love, like, when you're passionate about things, it comes through, and then others passionate about it. I love it.
Let's see, but I will try to be there. But so it's actually engaging because when we talk to our clients or prospects and we show them these things, I exactly see how they react and how I react. Let's see.
Yeah. Did you mention Taiwan Expo?
Taiwan Health Expo, yeah.
Okay. You were there like physically or?
No. My voice was dubbed. I recorded the video, sent it to them.
Okay.
They dubbed the voice, and then I could actually hear. They sent me a snippet of it. I could actually hear my voice in the background, then a dubbing of it in Taiwanese.
Okay. Nice. I lived in Taiwan for some time. Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
nice.
We have one
Taipei, I lived in.
colleague in the Hamo team who is from Taiwan, and she probably no, that's Dan. I think some of our colleagues have also joined. Really?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of people coming in.
So how's business going on in US, Ali?
Guys, just to reconfirm, like the attendees cannot hear us at the moment. I'm not sure.
Right,
Yeah,
not until
they're on hold. Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yep. It's going better now. It was a slow start to the year, but they're ramping up, and they just filled the openings on the sales team. So now we have a full sales team for basically all the last 5 months. We had one, Shelly representing corporate for the entire United States. So I think she was losing her mind a little bit. And so she's happy, I'm sure, to have 2 new people to help split the United States up. But it's getting better. We just have a lot of new reps now, so that's going to take some time to ramp up as well. So by the end of the year, we should be like doing really well.
I think so, because I got a chance to interact with Greg and Brandon. I think.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Great guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we were really sad to see Brandon go. He was our number one.
Yes,
rep.
it was extremely sad.
And
that was kind of surprise as well.
Yeah, we cracked some great deals. Actually, he and I, we worked together on Broad Institute. And after giving the demo in December, Broad Institute came on board in April or May. So at that time, the lockdown had started. And he sent me this, and I was jumping like, yes, finally we got Broad Institute. So it was a big, yeah, oh God. It was really, so these have been like, with him, there have been very good deals, like clients which we wanted to have on board, and they came on board. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Glad that he left.
All right. I think we should be going live in 1 minute. So before we do, best of luck, Sarbani and Sachin. And
thanks, Malay.
I know it will be great. So yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, I see now, Sachin, that for your name, it says webinar administrator and not like your name, but it won't let me change it at this point. So, oh well. But I can go ahead and hit the start broadcast button here in 1 minute, and then I'll let you go ahead and do the intro and tell people that we'll wait another minute while people are joining, all of that stuff. But best of luck, guys. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie. Thanks. Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, I'm going live just now. Hello, everyone. As some of our attendees are still joining, so we'll wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll start our session. Thank you.
Can't hear you.
I think we can start the session now. Sabni, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. As people have joined in from different part of the world, very good morning, very good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. My name is Sachin. I am an IP specialist with LexisNexis, currently based out in India. And I'll be moderator for today's session, wherein we are going to share some great insights with you on what's happening in the healthcare technologies, what kind of companies are involved in the process, some new startups coming in, dominating players, some cool products they are coming up with in the very recent time. And for today's session, we have Dr. Serbani with us. Dr. Serbani is consultant with Patent Site, wherein she and her team are working with our global clienteles on various issues of IP. She's consulting our customers basis upon what they can do in the technologies, markets, companies, assisting them with optimizing their portfolio, and also guiding them on some white spaces that exist in their domain in particular technologies. Dr. Serbani is also master in IP law and PhD in biochemistry. So Serbani, I welcome you to today's webinar.
Thank you very much. I'm actually excited to be able to present the insights that we have today.
Yeah.
And
Great, thanks. Same here. So couple of things which I would like to mention to our attendees before we move with the session. So this session will be recorded, and we will share the recording with you in the follow-up email right after the webinar. We have made some handouts available under the handout section, as you can see on your screen. The slides of this session will also be available for your reference. And third, and the important one is, if you have any questions on the go, please feel free to type in using the question tab. We will try to answer them on the go for you, and we will also keep 5 or 10 minutes in the last, so that we can pass on as much any question to the expert which we have today. And lastly, there will be a small survey at the end of the webinar, and we respect your opinion, your suggestion for this webinar also, and also moving forward. And there will be a small surprise in the survey also, in form of question number 7. So please pay attention to question number 7 in the survey form. Moving forward, Sabni, I think we can start the session now on this topic. I'm really looking forward to the insights which you have for us today. And yeah, we can start the session now.
I welcome everybody to today's session. As I said, we are very excited to be able to present the insights on this very interesting topic, and if I can say, a very current topic. So today's topic of discussion or webinar is digital health or healthcare technology. Let's have an idea about how we define that, because the way it is defined, it's the way we have defined it in terms of the search syntax to search for patents in this particular field. So this definition has been given by the European Union Division of World Health Organization. Digital health, it encompasses e-health, where the contribution of advanced computer science technologies, the information and communication technologies such as big data, genomics, artificial intelligence in the field of healthcare system, public health, uh, equity in access to health services are taken into account. This is exactly how we have defined the search syntax. If I have time at the end, I will show you some excerpts from the syntax as well to give you a fair idea about how we went ahead with defining the search syntax to retrieve patterns that are in this field. Before we go into this is another information. I think it's very relevant information that advancement in digital health has been selected as one of those topics that the World Health Organization believes and proclaims will aid in achievement of one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, specifically the SDG 3, which is related to good health and well-being. So the topic that we are discussing right now is not only a very relevant current topic, but also one of the topics where advancements are required if the goals that the UN has set up are to be achieved. The search as well as the analytics have been done in the platform of patent site of the LexisNexis suite of softwares that we have. Just before moving ahead, I'll just try to give you an idea about the methodology of quality assessment of patents in PatentSite. PatentSite works at the patent family level, so all patent documents with the same, exactly the same priority parameters are brought together to define one patent family. The underlying technological hypothesis is exactly same priority parameters sharing patent documents refer technically to one particular invention. All the quality assessments are done at the patent family level. The quality assessments are then generally done on two major factors. First is the forward citation based KPI called the technology relevance, where the hypothesis is if there is an invention that is technologically relevant and it has been protected by patents, that means it will be cited as a relevant prior art for subsequent patent applications. And you will see today how relevant that can be. The other part is the market coverage, where the scope of the protection of the invention across the globe is taken into account. When these two are combined, they give us the competitive impact, which is the quality indicator of a patent family in PatentSite. Once we have the competitive impact value of all the patent families, we group the patent families into sets that can be a portfolio of a company or a set of patents owned by a company or the entire field defined by the patents. The sum of the competitive impact of this set gives us the patent asset index. This is our portfolio strength indicator. You will see these KPIs when we move ahead, and I hope you can correlate and connect with them. Before we move ahead, let's first have a look at the overview of the entire field, what we can get an understanding of by patent analytics on the entire field of digital health.
So Sabni, if I can ask this one question, we have a question from Matt. I think it's going to be helpful for the audience also. You mentioned e-health at the beginning. So can you define more on e-health, what's included here? The exact question is digital health definition depend upon e-health, which is a broad term. Can you define e-health?
Yes, very good. Thank you for asking the question. Electronic health as we define e-cigarettes. So any kind of ICT, that is information and communication technologies, artificial intelligence, machine algorithm, robotics, all these are expressed in the search syntax either through keywords or through IPC or CPC classifications. And then we have assembled them to define this particular field of digital health. E-health means anything that is in the application on the public health, be it medicine, be it diagnostics of healthcare, be it healthcare management, using technologies that are related to computers and all other computer-related techniques. I hope I could make myself a bit more clear about the scope of today's search. Yeah, so are there any other questions or we move ahead?
Not at the moment, we can move forward,
okay. Yes. But please feel free to ask questions so that we have a thorough discussion while we go through.
Sure.
So the first thing that you see here is the filing statistics graph of the patents that we have retrieved as digital health patents. Now, as you see, the first thing that you see is that the number of filings have increased over the years, and there have been increased filings in the recent years. One thing that is characteristic of a field that is currently developing, where there is a huge activity of research as well as patenting in a field, where even the recently filed patents, the patents that were filed in the recent years, have also gone inactive. Either the patents that were filed were not granted by the examiners, or the patent applicant didn't pursue them further. This gives you an idea that this field is right now open innovation field, where R&D is going on, inventions are coming in, attempt to protection through patents is done. However, still in the heuristic stage, trying and testing. And so the first thing that you see in a filing statistic graph when you slice it by the legal status is this kind of an indication that this is not yet a field that has seen it all. It is open and it is currently having a huge amount of innovation going on. Once we understand this, we move ahead. And we see here the top 20 entities that own patents in this particular field. We have ranked them by the portfolio strength. So if you connect, the portfolio strength is the patent asset index. Based on our KPIs, we have calculated the strength of the set of patents that each entity owns in this field of digital health. So obviously, we not only take into account the quantity, we also take into account the quality. So this is the first time we are trying to bring in a correlation between the quantity and the quality. As you can see, the top here is Johnson & Johnson, and it has only 3,000 patents. It's much less than that of Olympus, which is 5th in the ranking, and it has almost 5 times the patents of Johnson & Johnson. But based on our KPI, Johnson & Johnson is at the top. Intuitive Surgical has much less number of patents than Johnson & Johnson or any other company at the top, but it still features in the top 10. And I can very well understand you already see Philip Morris and British American Tobacco here. E-health also includes e-cigarettes. We have kept it here. Now the debate whether they are really contributing to the health or not is definitely open to discussion. We have kept it here to show you how transparent the data is. In case you want to customize it and remove it, it can always be done. You can use a CPC and not our IPC A24 and you can remove them. We haven't, because we wanted to show you that if you want to cover it, these will also come up because the patents, they do declare that they are helping in advancement of health through e-cigarettes. As we saw that this is not only the quantity, but also quality involved. It also makes sense to understand what is the focus of each entity in the field of digital health. What you see here is these 3,000 patents of Johnson & Johnson, they make up 10% of the entire portfolio of Johnson & Johnson's patent portfolio. So 10%, you can think of the focus, how can it be? Where with 878 patents, Intuitive Surgical, these 878 patents account for almost 70% of their patent portfolio. So Intuitive Surgical's focus by quantity into digital health is much more than that of Johnson & Johnson. Also to take into account in a field that is developing very fast in the current state. The other thing before we move ahead is what is the legal status of the patents that belong to these entities? As we see here, Johnson & Johnson at the top, it has fewer inactive patents and more active patents which are either in force or pending. So what we see here is it's at the top. It does have a substantial proportion of patents that it has enforced, and it has a future because it has pending applications here. Olympus, either it has been there for long, more than 20 years, either the patents have expired, or it has filed patents that it could not maintain, could not get granted, but the proportion of inactive here is substantial compared to the ones that are active. Once we have this idea, then we can have a fair amount of idea about the quantity, the quality, the focus, as well as where they stand currently. Because if you have a patent and you have to enforce it to derive the best value out of it. Up till now, you see the current status. Probably it also makes sense to have a look at how they developed over the time, how they came to this current date from the past. What you see here is the time evolution of the patent asset index, the portfolio strength, as well as the quantity. Now, we already discussed a lot that Johnson & Johnson fewer patents. This is how Johnson & Johnson has developed in terms of quantity. It did have a steady increase in its portfolio size over the years and a correlated increase in portfolio strength. However, as you see, there are other companies that have much more patents and have much more increase in their patent portfolio by quantity over time. But none of them had this kind of an spike in their patent asset index as others. The next company, Phillips, as you see, the number of patents is much more than Johnson & Johnson. And when you see the patent asset index trend, Phillips did catch up with Johnson & Johnson around 2017. And then the following 2 years led to a further increase in the strength of Johnson & Johnson. This is something also to have an idea about, like over the time, which companies' patents had started to gain more strength in the field that we are analyzing, in this case, digital health. I guess people have already seen companies like Canon and Fujifilm. They are not here by fluke. They are here because they have patents in the imaging techniques in digital diagnostic devices, like those that are involved in colonoscopy and etc. And everything we cannot put in the webinar. So if you want to go into the details, please book a demo with us. I would love to show you every detail that we have here.
Sabani, at this point, if I can ask a question, though two of my question you've already answered, like what the cigarette manufacturers are doing in this domain. I think because of the e-cigarette part, their patents might have come into this domain. And also, you specifically mentioned about Canon and Fujifilm. Ideally, the cameras manufacturers. But it's good that you already answered it. One specific company, if you can go to the first slide, wherein you showed the number of companies. Yes. So here I see, like, Alphabet is there. Alphabet is, of course, it's Google, right? And Google is almost in every domain. They must be doing something in the healthcare, in the AI tech, ML tech. I'm not sure, like in how many areas they've spread out. But when you move forward, Alphabet, position reduced in the legal status side. So is it they are just operating in one side, or they don't have much patents around healthcare industry? So if you could just throw a little bit light on Google role in the healthcare, would be nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, I was expecting this question, so I'm prepared with Alphabet actually. But before we move ahead to Alphabet, I just wanted to show you this last slide regarding this set of companies that we are having an idea about. I'll then move to Alphabet for sure. These are some of the selected companies from the top 20. And to answer your focus also, that where are they having the strength? These are some of the specific areas related to the digital health technology. And the bubble area is the average quality, because you already saw that Johnson & Johnson has around 3,000 patents, Intuitive has around less than 1,000 patents. So we take the average quality to compare them. So what we see here is Johnson & Johnson, it seems to have a very high strength in computer-aided surgery like robots, implantable prosthesis, surgical or monitoring instruments, as well as some ICT regarding healthcare management. The other company that seems to have comparable strength in these areas is Intuitive Surgical. Maybe not as high as that of Johnson & Johnson, but still quite comparable to wherever they have a strength in. And you're right, I have kept Alphabet, and you see Alphabet having a huge average quality in surgical or monitoring instruments. We will take this up when we go to Alphabet. Now, when we see like this with Johnson & Johnson and Intuitive Surgical, I would like to point out to the news article that is there. It's 2020. So Johnson & Johnson's new robotic surgical system gets launched in 2020 to compete with Intuitive Surgical's Da Vinci. So Johnson & Johnson has launched a new surgical robot. And if you just recap what we just discussed up till now, Johnson & Johnson had a huge spike in since 2017 in its patent asset index regarding digital health. We also saw its average quality being quite high in the inventions that are in the technological scope of surgical robots. And the other company, Intuitive Surgical, has been there since long, 2000. And now this is a characteristic of a fast developing field in the current scenario, and how well patent analytics correlate with the news that you see. I hope I can give you more insights in this way throughout the webinar. Now, coming to Sachin's question regarding Alphabet, I expected that where is Alphabet, what it is doing, and why it is in digital health. I guess this question came to my mind, and I think it's a question that comes to most of the people who are right now in going through this webinar with us, that is Alphabet doing something itself, or it is trying to get a foothold through acquisitions? Let's have a look, and you can do that by having a look at the original applicants of the patents that are currently under the ownership of Alphabet. Now, LexisNexis patent site works with the current ultimate owner concept. So that's why you find that these patents that are originally filed by different applicants, as well as original applicant being Alphabet, this is the Google Life Sciences, which is Alphabet's own inventions, under the ownership of Alphabet in patent site. The first thing that comes to the mind is we have ranked them by the number of patents that are there originally applied for by these different applicants. The number of patents that are there that are originally Alphabet's patents are outnumbered by the ones that have been originally applied by other applicants. So if you want to understand what Alphabet is doing, definitely it is trying to get a foothold in the healthcare industry, particularly in digital health, and it has acquired patents from other companies as well. And I didn't know about Fitbit, and in case you are also wondering about Fitbit, this is the reason that we see Fitbit under Alphabet. So the recent news is 2021, Google completes the acquisition of Fitbit, and so we expect that it is definitely in the digital health technology. So the next question is, can patent analytics tell us how profitable this acquisition has been? In that case, let's have a look at this. I guess the chart is now more clear to you because you already saw a similar kind of a chart. So these are the original applicants of the patents that are currently owned by Alphabet. And these are some of the specific areas where digital health is applied for. And you see the average quality of Fitbit patents, it's much higher than Google's original patents, as well as the patents it has acquired from someone else. And the surgical instruments, if you remember, surgical and monitoring instruments, I don't think it's a surprise. Fitbit has come up with products that are in that region where they're wearables, and the patents are definitely point out to some remarkable inventions. So they are high value patents, and that's what we see here as well. So definitely acquisition of Fitbit has proved to be quite profitable for Alphabet.
Yeah, I think it's also makes sense, Bunny, isn't it? For example, for a company like Google, who is very rich on cash, and they want to enter a particular domain, they can buy a small startup and maybe then move forward with the dominating the industry. And this is what I think happened this last week, wherein Google in the conference, they mentioned that they acquired Fitbit because of the hardware aspect, because they manufacture, watches and which detect the sensors, SpO2 level. But their main goal was to develop the Wear OS, the software that can be implemented in Fitbit infrastructure and presented the combination of both to the public. So I think that's why if you look at the Fitbit, as you rightly pointed out, the surgical domain is quite high among all the four other acquisitions which Google did, and this is reflecting in the original Alphabet portfolio. So I think it makes sense. It makes sense for big companies to go and acquire small startups.
Yeah. So whichever company so they did a good job, we must say, in this case. While we are in this, probably it's a time for to have a question.
Yes, that's something we wanted to discuss with our audience also. Just a small poll. We'll spend next 30 seconds on it, as a lot of people around us, they are wearing smartwatches, smart bands. We would like to get the opinion of our audience, that do they think those readings, heart rate sensors, SpO2 level, Apple Watch, ECG monitoring, can they be relied as of now? Is the technology ready so that those readings, those matrices could be relied on and take the decision accordingly? We would like to understand the thoughts of our attendees. We'll spend next 15 more seconds here. We're seeing lot of answers coming in. Yes. We have received 70% votes till now. I think 30% more to go. Yeah, it's 80 now. Okay. To share the results, I think it came little as surprise, because the way companies are marketing their product with the bands is that they are life-saving products. But 25% of our attendees, they say yes, that They are reliable as of now, and 62% of our audience thinks that it's not ready yet, and they are going to get better in future. And at the same time, 13% said no, that we cannot rely on these matrices. So in general, in total, 75% of the people thinks that these technologies cannot be relied as of now, which is quite a number, basis upon the claims made by, let's say, either it's Apple, either it's Google, either it's Fitbit. So thanks for participating in the survey. Yeah.
And it's a good thing, right? So if we, in our audience, we expect that there will be better things that are going to come. So it's also time that we should also think that how they will come, and whether
Yeah.
we do have the chance that probably there is already inventions going on, which we should take note of.
That's true. Absolutely.
Yeah. The question that comes in the mind for any field that is developing right now very fast is, we already discussed the established players, the players with the money who can acquire. But what about the small emerging players who are not as, was not having as many patents as the big players, or not protecting as extensively as the big players, but still having inventions that can change the entire direction of the field? As well as there can be companies that are operating, famous companies, established companies, operating in some other field, but they are also entering this field where they're using these ICT technologies in their field of operation to have an advancement in public health. How can we identify that? That can also be done using pattern analytics. What we have done here is we have.
Certainly, I think we are able to see the poll right now on the screen. So
Okay.
can you reshare your screen again?
Yep, I will reshare my screen again. Can you see the screen
Yes,
right
we
now?
can see it. Yes, we can see the top 20 entities on basis of forward
Yes.
citations.
Yes. So now what we have done is we have removed the effect of market coverage. As we discussed, small companies may not have the money or may not have the strategy of protecting their invention across the globe. But in case the underlying hypothesis, there are 2 points to consider here. In case you have an invention that you are protecting through patents, and if that invention is that remarkable, it is bound to get cited as a relevant prior art for subsequent applications. And if this is a fast growing field, even young patents get noticed very soon. The examiners are doing a good job, and even when the IDS are submitted by applicants, they do refer to the ones, because fast developing field, the competition is high, and if you want to protect it through patents, you have to have an idea of what's going on, even when you are applying for a patent. And the other hypothesis is, if you have a patent that is cited, if you remove the market coverage, then you can come up with those startups or with those companies that will definitely not show up when you are trying to analyze or try to find them out using quantity or the cumulative strength. What you see on the right-hand side is the forward citation-based indicator y-axis and the portfolio size. You definitely see some of the companies which you will not see generally if you are doing just quantity or cumulative quality-based ranking. Alongside these companies, we also see Nike and Adidas. That's why I mentioned that it could be that there are companies that are operating in some other field, but now are venturing into the field of using digital healthcare in their products, in their area of operation.
Also,
Nike.
Sabni, we are looking at the, sorry to interrupt, please.
No,
Yeah.
no, yep.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
actually, very recently, India purchased a lot of fighter jets from France, and that is the company called Tissot Systems, which I'm looking at right now in the chart. Is it
Yeah,
a fluke, or they're also
so,
venturing out in the healthcare? Yeah.
this is the company that is generally based on digital solutions and 3D manufacturing. It's a good thing that you pointed out. When we checked them, and if anyone is interested to have a much more detailed analysis using our software, please book a demo with us, because then you will see that how incredible these patterns are. They are 3D printed tissues, elastic tissues, as well as tissues that are in this area where digital healthcare, and you will understand how fast this field has gone and developed. So this is a good thing that you pointed out. I welcome anyone who is interested in going into the details to book a demo with us. As we were speaking, yeah, so Nike and Adidas, they must have much more patents in their patent portfolio than these 140, and Adidas less than 100, but still their patents are good. They're key patents in digital health, and so they are doing something, and so we expect them to also operate in digital health, and the products that they'll bring into the market will also have something to do with that. However, if you want to look into the startups which are focused in digital health, we move to the right-hand side, where we see the focus as the share in the total portfolio size. As we saw in the first slide, again, we try to find out how much of the entire portfolio is accounted for by these digital health patterns that we have for each entity. You see that hyperfine research, I heard it for the first time, I will be honest. This features in the top 20 when we are ranking them by forward citations. And these digital health, around 25 patents, they make almost 70% of its entire portfolio. Similarly, we find Dexcom, around 160 patents, they make up almost more than 70% of its portfolio. We also have Maxima. I have spoken about Maxima a lot. Maxima is very famous, and right now it has cracked a huge deal with Phillips regarding its oximeters, and in the time of Corona. But Maxima digital health, it is in this field. The digital health makes almost half of its entire portfolio. So when we try to look in through this kind of a perspective, we find these companies, and probably it makes sense to have a look at what they're doing. And I'll try to show you some examples to give you an idea about the kind of patterns we retrieve and connect them to the kind of news we hear. This is how a result list in patent site looks like. So if you want to go to the details, read through the patents, this is how you can do that. So as we discussed, around 25 patents for hyperfine. And let's have a look at what kind of patents they are. So you see their magnetic resonance imaging. So probably these are MRI related patents, and most of them are in this field. So MRI related technologies where hyperfine is based in. And when I try to check the news, and this is a new, and if you just look into, these are very recent patents. And this is what I wanted to point out. Even if your patents are recent in a field that is developing fast, you will get cited as soon as they get published, or even before they get published, because examiners have an access to them. So this is the news that we have. So hyperfines, they have named it Swoop. Portable MRI system has been chosen among 4,000 submissions as a fast company world-changing idea. If you move into the more recent news, May 2021, they are bringing this portable MRI system to the demo at the door. So the concept is that they are bringing this portable MRI to the patient houses. This is where we can expect digital health to bring in path-breaking advancements, and which do actually aid in advancement in the entire healthcare system. We saw hyperfine. We can also have a look at Dexcom patents. There were around 160 patents. So these are only some of the top ones that we can see in one snapshot. If you look into them, we see that they are generally in analyte sensoring. So they are, and they have been there for quite some time, not really that young. And one of them is even in glucose sensor. So the digital technology is being applied in censoring of the analytes in patients. When we look into the news, this is again 2021 news. Dexcom has got the approval to bring this patch that can be worn on the upper arm for the assessment of the glycemic control. So no more finger pricking to check your glucose level. You can wear the patch and your glucose level can be monitored, and it is for adults 18 and older. So as you see, the patterns that you retrieve as key patterns as a key entity, Dexcom, and the product that they're bringing to the market. This is how relevant patent analytics can be if you are trying to analyze a rapidly growing field, something like a digital healthcare technology.
Yeah.
We
So,
also
if I
look
can,
into,
okay.
yes.
Okay, please go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can look into this is the last, I promise, no more examples. So this is the Maxima Corporation patents. These are, and as we discussed, Maximo is in patient monitoring. It has oximeters, and now what we see here is, again, monitoring systems of patients, alarms, and also wireless patient monitoring. And Maximo has been in the news. It has got FDA clearances one after the other. One of the news that struck me and I want to share with everyone is it recently got the FDA clearance for patient monitoring for mainstream capnography. Capnography measures the partial pressure and the volume of the carbon dioxide in the gas that we exhale, the expiratory gas. And if you see, it mentions that it comes with a wireless Bluetooth connectivity. So we expect that if there is some kind of this kind of a remarkable invention, the company will try to protect it through patents. And these patents will be key patents and they will get cited and they will come up as highly valued patents. And so trust us when we say you patent analytics can be used to understand what kind of products the companies, the patent owners can bring to the society, as well as what direction of development can happen for the technology that we are trying to assess. Yeah, you had a question, Sachin.
Yes, I was actually looking at the examples. It feels really good to see what kind of technology startups are coming up, and as you're talking about healthcare, and specifically the applications are also on the healthcare side, related to patient monitoring and connectivity platform. But could there be times wherein, let's say, where other technologies might be failing, and healthcare, if we introduce the healthcare technology, they might create a success case over there. So not necessarily healthcare with the healthcare, but if any other failures exist out there and how we can leverage the healthcare applications and improve those. So yeah, would be happy to get more insights on that.
It's a good thing that this came to your mind actually, because when we discuss these things, it also happens that it can happen that we are always trying to put in
Yep.
the success stories. But is there any company that is using digital health technologies in an area where we have seen failures?
Yeah.
Actually, it did come to my mind as well. And so I actually did some analysis to see one of these. And this is something I think it is close to all our hearts because Alzheimer's is one of those diseases where we haven't seen any success yet. And in the US as well as in the rest of the world, this is a case where we are not being able to make a breakthrough. Even the recently proclaimed potential blockbuster drugs also couldn't show much of what should I say, promise in the clinical trials. So, and there have been like many cooperative contract-based cooperation among the companies as well as research institutes trying to come together to address Alzheimer's, but we haven't faced any success yet. And the question is, are there any kind of opportunities to use these digital healthcare technologies to address these kind of diseases? What I did was I did actually try to find out whether there is healthcare technology, something of this kind in here. And I focused on Alzheimer's because we all know that we are yet to find a success. So the strategy was to narrow down the healthcare technology field into the specific application area of neurological diseases, that to Alzheimer's. What I have done here is I have removed any other kind of entity apart from operating companies. So you see here the top 10 companies as per the patent asset index. I could have looked at the startups as well, but I can't include everything in a webinar. If someone is interested to look at the startups, we could have done that as well. Why I have done that is because I don't want to go into the details, but it does happen that after repeated failures, companies do stop research in particular technological areas, Alzheimer's being one of them. So it's worthwhile to have a look at who are still trying to do something in Alzheimer's and who are still trying to use digital healthcare technology in this case. So these are the top 10. And if you look at the trend of pattern asset index, Roche has had a tremendous increase in its strength in using digital health in Alzheimer's since 2014. Others like Pfizer has a decrease. I think it is also known to all of us that Pfizer did declare that it is stopping its research in Alzheimer's in 2010. And even prior to that, the decrease of its pattern asset index had started. It is having a subsidiary where it will concentrate on Alzheimer's. And recent years data show that there is a slight increase in its pattern asset index. Probably it is doing something worthwhile. We have to wait for a few more years to see what's happening. But since I saw Roche, I thought maybe it's a good idea to even have a look at the patents that Roche has in this field, if you want to have a look at that. So these are the patents that Roche has in digital healthcare in Alzheimer's. And we see that what it is doing, it is bringing in digital biomarkers in cognitive diseases. And more or less what we find here is the focus is the same, using digital technology, but on the tau proteins. They are the ones which are misfolded in Alzheimer's. And so having some kind of an analysis done on the tau proteins makes sense. And they have used the tau protein specific ligands that can be used in the PET technology, which is positron emission tomography. So we can very well understand what Roche is trying to do, and it is protecting its inventions. And they're fairly, most of them are not very old patents. If you check the news, you will see that Roche in 2018 received the breakthrough device designation from the FDA for its new Alzheimer's disease assays. And you see that they are concentrating on the phosphotau concentration in the cerebrospinal fluid for this assay. So as I said, even when we are concentrating on areas where we haven't seen much success, maybe there is promise that maybe digital health can aid in that area as well. We have to wait to see if things can turn in that direction. So these are some of the interesting insights that we have. And before signing off, I would like to show you a fun patent as well. I don't want to mean fun as trivial, but a fun that is definitely something that can pique our interests. This is a very recently filed patent, Chinese patent filed in 2020. This is how the abstract looks like, and I'll draw your attention to what it says. It says this is a construction site emergency management system. It has an intelligent robot. It is a drone disinfection unit. Please mark your word, this is a drone. And it is connected to grade A tertiary hospital health system. Now, the thing is, if you look into the figures of this patent, have a look at it. And I invite you to think, doesn't it remind you of one of our favorite drones we have seen over the years from our childhood regarding some sci-fi movies? In case it does, I'll show you what I think it resembles. So these are the figures that we see in this patent. And they say truth is stranger than fiction. And trust me, science can make even fiction come true. And in case it doesn't come to your mind yet, doesn't this remind you of R2-D2 from the Star Wars? It did actually remind me of it. And this is a very interesting thing that sometimes science makes even fiction come true. And in such a way where they will be, R2-D2 was the savior at that time. Probably this drone disinfection unit will also prove to be a savior. If there is any chance that at some point of time C3PO or BB-8 makes a splash in the real world, or for that case, even Iron Man or Jarvis makes a splash in the real world, protecting their inventions through patents, please trust me, I'll be striving to be the first one to bring the news to you. So this is a fun fact. Today is Friday. I hope this also was something of an interest to everybody who attended today's webinar. Since we have some time, this is where you can have more information about what we presented today. But since we have some time, and as I said, I promised, and probably because of the question that we had about how we defined the search syntax for defining the field, this is how the search and the analysis in LexisNexis patent site can be done. So the full text search that we have, you can search for the patents not only in English language, but also in English language versions. As you saw, we showed you the Chinese patent. And all wildcard operators and Boolean operators that you generally use for searching is available. And as you saw, we show you in the webinar, we analyze them using our scientifically validated and patented KPIs. This is a paper where it was published. Regarding the search syntax, and I don't want to claim that this is the entire thing. The search syntax itself covers 6 to 7 pages in Word, but this is excerpts from it. So you have smart, intelligent, near, system, tech, bed, surgery, imaging, and symptom near check. So as well as IPC related to medical health, with an AND operator on G and H. G is for physics, H is for electronics. So this is how we generated the search syntax. And obviously, when we are using this kind of a strategy, we will get very unrelated patterns, and they are removed using AND not on the IPC and the CPCs. In case there is more question about this, please book a demo with us so that you can actually have a look at the search syntax and all the analysis that we did. This is what we have until now, and if there's any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Wow, great. Thanks, Urbani. I think very quick observation, that Chinese patent is not granted yet, right? The one with the
Yes, it's a pending
R2D2.
patent.
I think maybe you should send the R2D2 picture to Chinese examiner. He won't be granting that patent.
Probably the picture will be referenced as a relevant prior art, and we don't know what's going to happen. But even the examiner might feel that it's related to R2D2.
Great. So if we look at some of the questions that are from the audience, if I can ask just a moment. So there is this one question which says that is there any way to check the materials that are used in the e-technology documents? I think the audience want to know how can we go more deeper into if we want to check, if the products and what kind of materials are being used in those patents.
Surely, it means in LexisNexis patent site, if you have an access, you can definitely look into the entire claims and the descriptions. And mind you, let's discuss this in a bit more detail, because when we look into the claims only tell you the scope of the protection of the patent. But if you're interested in knowing the science, and it makes sense to have a look at the science and the way it was developed, because these are remarkable new inventions, descriptions and examples and experiments that are mentioned in the descriptions are extremely relevant and they're important. If it makes sense, probably so when you look into the result list that we see, each and every document that is here at the patent family, you can click on it and you can look into the claims, the abstract, the descriptions, the diagrams, the figures. So, and there is also a slight icon here that drives you to the espacenet. So in case you want to have an even idea about the examination reports and the application responses, you can have a look at that, because we have connected to the espacenet as well. The reason for doing this, and this is a very good question actually, because whenever we are looking into these inventions that are so relevant, so new and so path-breaking, it also makes sense to understand how these products were made. So definitely these will be expressed, and you have to, the trade-off between patents and the protection is to have the best disclosure. So you will definitely have the disclosure of the materials in the documents.
Okay. Great, Sobhani. I think just to add on what you mentioned here, as my work also involved using patent site a lot. For example, if we are starting broad on any set of patent portfolio, I think that's the advantage you get when you work on patent site, is you can go to the granular level possible. It's not just staying on the top, but the more you keep on clicking on what kind of patents are there, you can keep going to the granular level possible according to the interest. One particular feature I think, Sabni, is technology clusters are there. For example, if we talk about healthcare industry, as you showed, it's in the surgical domain, it's in the communication domain, and if we simply combine another technology clusters of material with that of our search
Yes.
query, I think we'll be able to look at all those patterns which talk about materials in healthcare. And we can further narrow it down according to the technology cluster, like what kind of materials are there, whether they are into the plastics, whether they are into the metallic materials. So that way we'll be able to go into further level using the technology clusters. I think it will be helpful for everyone if they start from broad and would want to narrow down their search to a level wherein they generate specific insights related to the technology.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
We have another question. Can we get legal status of Indian patents? That is the direct link to the prosecution history. I think that we can get the legal status of different countries here on patent side related to the prosecution history. I'm not sure. Can we can we can we get, can
Yes.
we get that? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so if you click on this part here and you click on it, at least
Hmm.
the entire prosecution history, I mean, the maintenance thing is there, but details are not yet there. Whoever is waiting for it, please wait a bit. We are coming up with an integrated product where uh, all the suite of LexisNexis products will come together. So and then you start with this type of analysis. And then with one click, you can get to the prosecution details, the legal status. The legal status is already shown here regarding
Yeah.
the patent family level, which document is enforced and everything. Prosecution history is in a very concise form shown here, but the details will soon be available. We just ask you to be patient for another few months, and then we will be rolling out that integrated thing as well.
Good to know that, Sobani. I think from the legal status perspective side, one unique thing which patent site does is patent site run the updates every week. It's not like we
Yes.
wait for a month to keep the legal status updated. It's done on the entire portfolio every week. So 100 million plus documented documents getting scanned every week, and if there is a legal status updation, it will be reflected almost on a real-time basis. This is very small feature, but I think very unique one. Those who are involved with the
Very
analytics on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. Yeah, very important as well. Yes. And the thing is, for our KPIs, you have to have the legal status to be active because the competitive impact, market coverage is involved. And if you're not protecting it anywhere, it has expired, then market coverage goes zero. So the CI value goes zero, patent asset index doesn't get accounted for that patent. Though it can still be cited as a relevant prior art, but that will not give any value to the patent owner because he can't enforce it. So we do take legal status very seriously.
Absolutely. Just one more question, Sabani. It's related to the, I think, the acquisition information. So just to summarize this question, is there a way to look at what kind of companies are acquired by the corporates? So I think the attendee wants to get information on how we included Fitbit and everything under the Google. So any more
Yes.
information we can provide? Yeah.
Yes. So we have a customized table called applicant main indicators. If you have a search criteria, for example, if I search for owner in alphabet as alphabet, and then I use this table, it automatically gave me, and I got the chart from there. It automatically gave me the original applicants that are enlisted under the ownership of alphabet. What I did is I assembled them by the portfolio size, and I took the top 6 or top 5 of them, and I made this chart. So I didn't have to do much. I just had a pre-customized table to use to get this information.
Okay. So I think whenever there is a acquisition that happen on a global level, on if you can also guide me on this part, how soon it will be reflected on the patent side? Let's say if Amazon bought some companies right now, what will happen on the information? Yeah.
This is a very good question. Thank you for asking. We at Pattern Site, we take pride in this because we actually have a dedicated team of harmonization who always, and that is also on a weekly basis. Harmonized data is available on a weekly basis. They assess all the publicly available information about mergers and acquisitions and reflect, and that accordingly gets reflected in Pattern Site. How focused are we in this is when you look into the owners, as you see this picture here, This tells you that Roche is an operating company with a color code green. That means the harmonization team has done 3 levels of harmonization to check the status of Roche. Everything is in order. The ones that where they have not checked it, the color coordination is the color code is either yellow or red. We request our clients to use harmonized data. So if you are using a ownership information, and if the color code is yellow or green, we request our clients to let us know. The Harmo teams takes 1 week to harmonize the data, and we always request our users to use harmonized data to do the pattern analytics in pattern site. So this is our biggest USP, and thanks to the harmonization team, they do a great job in this.
Okay, thanks, Harmony. Another question which I think I can also answer is, where can we have the access to these slides? Yes, there is a handout section which is available to all the attendees. You can click on the handout section and there will be the document which is available and contain all the slide that Dr. Serbany has presented. So you can also download this and use this as for your reference. So they're available under the handout section. Everyone, we have 3 more minutes left. So if there are any further question, please feel free to quickly type in the question tab. Even if it's a short one, I'll try to make sense out of it and try to understand it and pass on to Serbany. So please feel free to type in your question, even if it's a quick one. Okay, I think one more question is there. Can we look at? Yes, you can. It's not necessarily limited to the healthcare technology. We on the patent site, the question says that can we look at more technology sectors and segments as I'm operating in different industry. So just to answer this, yes, there are around 100 million plus documents that are available on patent site. So patent site is not limited to any technology range. Whatever technology you work on and work with, yes, it can be created in the graphical format to generate insights on. So those insights could be in terms of technology, could be in terms of market, could be in terms of the assignees, or the combination of any three. If you want to look at what kind of companies they are doing, in what kind of technology, and in what kind of markets, yes, those kind of insights could be generated from patent sites. Yeah.
And I welcome all pattern searchers. You can define your own technology fields using the search syntax. You can use a combination of our pre-customized technology fields and combine it with yours. You can use a combination of IPCs and CPCs and combine with yours. And as Sachin said, you can also put in assignee names and use it. Feel free to generate your own customized search criteria. That can be done in pattern site.
Yes. So if there are any, there are no further question. I think it's time that we can wrap up the today's session. Serbany, once again, thank you so much for the analysis. It was really good. I personally get to learn about what's happening in the healthcare industry. My domain is mechanical, but still good to know about what kind of startups are coming up. And because of the ongoing pandemic issue, I think this is, although healthcare has been always been the focus for the developing and the developed nation, but this pandemic at least taught us that there's a long way in front of us which we need to cover to deliver those perfect healthcare services. Although on your wrist there are vital monitoring sign using telemedicines, doctors can connect, patients can send in their vital information over 5G or wireless technologies. And while I was thinking of this issue, I also checked on the internet, like what if somebody in London could perform a surgery here in India, using being on the remote side. And I was
Actually,
really surprised to check. I was really surprised to check that this has already been tested in China on
yes,
animals and using
animals. Yeah.
Huawei's 5G technology. So a lot of good things are happening in terms of the innovation. I think it's also an opportunity for a lot of companies to bring in some new products to the market. Also, the startups are facing some challenges, and I think IP is going to be a way wherein we could leverage out on the strategies, look at a foreseeable future that is in right front of us, because there is idea, there is patent, and then after a couple of years there is product. So before it gets launched to the market, looking at the patents, I mean, it's definitely tell a great story. So thank you
Actually,
so
it's
much for
true.
sharing the insights on
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
actually, it's true. And that's why I wanted to, and I'm very, very happy that we could present the data on this kind of a technology field. Just think, this is what we wanted. We wanted science to reach the society, and they are reaching the society through patent protection. So I trust in science, I trust in the patent procedure that these will bring in worthwhile change, advancement in the quality of living across the globe.
True.
So I thank everybody who attended today's webinar. May science be with you, may the force be with you. And
Okay.
yeah,
Great, Sabni.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you everyone for your presence in today's webinar. We look forward to have you again in a series of webinar which we do frequently. And as I mentioned in the beginning, there will be a very small survey at the end of this session. And I request all the participants uh, to look at the survey and let us know your feedback. Now, just to spoil your surprise, the question number 7 states that using patent site, we'll be happy to provide you the report on any technology or on any company of your choice. So for example, if you're operating in semiconductor industry, you could let us know related to what you are trying to achieve in terms of analytics, and we'll be happy to consult you on those goals. So please feel free to let us know your feedback, and if there is any question, you can drop us an email on the IDs provided also in the handout, and we'll also mention the same in the follow-up email. Thank you everyone. Until next time, please be safe, please be healthy, and looking forward to have you again in our next webinar. Thank you everyone for your presence today. Thanks, Abani.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you everyone.